Hi, and welcome to week 1 of the Healthy Living series. This week's focus is getting geared up for change, where we're going to focus on adopting a mindset of growth and preparing for success. As a society, we are trained to think about goals. We are continually encouraged by our friends and our family, peers, co-workers, and even ourselves to think about the next milestone in our lives. So whether you're setting a personal or professional goal, the strategy is the same. So let's get discovering. Most goal-setting exercises ask the following questions. What does success look like to you? What do you want to achieve in life? And where do you see yourself in 5 years? While these questions are great, we have to shift that process a small bit. Everybody wants to achieve great things, maybe traveling the world, affording a bigger home, writing that best-selling novel, running a marathon, or even starting your own business. But the real question is, are you willing to accept the sacrifices that come with achieving your goal? Of course, we would all love that second home in the Caribbean, but few people are actually willing to make the sacrifice it would take to achieve a goal like that. This balance of want versus sacrifice and values is the hardest decision that we often have to face, and something we'd like you to focus on. Once you commit, it's time to take these goals and put them into action. In order to make your goals a reality, we encourage you to do the following 4 steps. 1, work on one goal at a time to set the direction. Acknowledge the sacrifices that will need to be made to achieve the goal. 3, create structure. And 4, keep up the motivation. First, we're going to start with step 1. Focus on one goal at a time. Now you might be thinking, wait, hold on a second. I have 20 different things that I want to accomplish, and you're telling me to focus just on one at a time? Absolutely. While we may feel we're capable of doing many things at once, concentrating on 2 tasks at one time is often very challenging. The key here is to focus on one goal and put all of your energy into that goal until you accomplish it. Our lives are like rose bushes. As a rose bush grows, it produces more buds than it can sustain. So if you talk to any experienced gardener, they'll tell you that a rose bush needs to be pruned to bring out the best in its appearance and performance. In other words, if you want that rose bush to thrive, then you need to cut away some of those good rose buds so that the great ones can fully blossom. The same concept applies to our goals. Take a look at the goal setting worksheet and write down your top 3 goals that you currently have. Then take some time to think about it before you choose the one that you would like to focus on first. The goal we will focus on first in this example is reducing stress in your life. Step 2, acknowledge, if any, the sacrifices you will be making to achieve your goal. In order to reach your goal, you have to make choices, and it's important to recognize them so that you can decide whether or not you are ready to commit. Step 3, create a structure or system. If your goal is to reduce stress in your life, then it's important for you to create a specific plan of action to reach that goal. If you say, to reduce my levels of stress, I will meditate more, or in order to reduce stress, I will prioritize self-care by scheduling activities I enjoy, you are not being specific enough. It is important to implement a system to achieve your goals. And remember, the system you implement does not have to be difficult. SMART goals have been around since the 80s, and they are still a great way to clarify your ideas, focus your efforts, and use your time wisely to achieve your goals. So you can see how SMART goals allow the goal of to reduce stress, I will meditate more, to become more clear and specific. Okay, so to reduce stress, I will meditate as soon as I wake up every morning by using the Headspace app on my phone. Likewise, a goal of scheduling self-care activities becomes, to reduce stress, I will have 1 hour of self-care time on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I wrote in my planner to have 1 hour of yoga on Monday morning, an hour for a hot bath on Wednesday night, and an hour for reading Friday evening. These specific goals allow you to know exactly what you plan to do and when, and then how it will apply to your overall goal. Let's take a look at your worksheet. With kids and work, volunteering, or other responsibilities, it might be difficult to fit meditation and self-care into your schedule. Yet you know it's really important. So in order to move forward, you have to create an environment that aligns with your goal progression and doesn't work against it. So if your barrier is childcare, you could ask a family member to help with childcare so it allows time for your self-care. Alternatively, you could wake up 15 minutes earlier or take an hour after the kids go to bed to do this. The key here is finding what works for you in your circumstances and priorities and environment. So if you find yourself saying that none of these or nothing else will work, it may be time to reevaluate where your priorities are. Prioritizing your values and progress is always a possibility. It just takes more prioritization at some stages of life than others. So take a minute to pause the video now, or you can even do this after the video, and work through the SMART goal worksheet to create your own SMART goal. Now we did all the hard work with setting our goals, we want to reach them. So in order to reach your goals, you need to create an ongoing habit and make sure that you have a positive environment for the habit to happen in, because it's virtually impossible to stick with positive habits in a negative environment. All right, step 4, staying motivated. Let's be honest, lack of motivation happens to all of us. All the excitement about achieving a new goal can quickly fade the moment you feel mentally, emotionally, or physically drained. Maybe a personal issue arises or you get thrown a curveball in life. Often the easy part is pursuing the goal and the difficult part is staying motivated. The mind is a truly powerful thing, and we really need to harness the ability to turn I can't into I can. So here are some simple ways to stay motivated. Surround yourself with positive people who support your goals. Really know your strengths and weaknesses, and don't be afraid to ask for help or support. Stay in that learning growth mindset. This is going to help keep you motivated and also curious. Complete small, SMART goals that bring you closer to reaching your larger goal. It's always easier to complete small goals that work towards a larger goal. Now let's take a minute to dive a little deeper into values. We talked about how goal setting is a lot more valuable and maintainable when your goals align with your values. But the question is, have you ever taken a moment to think about what your core values are? Many people don't even know what their core values are, and that's okay. But the reason core values are important is because they directly impact our thoughts, our words, and our actions. They're really our own personal code of conduct. And sometimes our core values are influenced by our friends, family, our culture, our employer, maybe the media, the music we listen to, and even, the time period that we live in. Decisions are a direct reflection of our values, and let's be honest, we make a ton of decisions daily. There are many benefits for getting to know your core values. You get to know yourself better, you develop better self-awareness, you get to be more mindful and choose which relationships you allow into your life. It provides clarity on decisions, intentions, and behaviors. And it allows you to decide what you do and don't make time for. There are some simple ways to discover your core values, so let's do this. So go ahead and download the core values worksheet and follow along as we work through the steps. Okay, so part 1 of this exercise is to ask yourself some discovery questions. What am I most proud of? What has been the best experience of my life? Who do I admire? What makes me feel the happiest? Maybe what makes me feel angry? Do you have a saying that you repeat over and over and over? Okay, so in the worksheet, you'll see there's a list of 13 questions. So feel free to add on to these questions because it's going to help you discover a ton about yourself. Second, you need to uncover the values behind these answers by asking the big question, why? So an example would be, what am I most proud of? Paying off my mortgage early. The values reflected here are responsibility and financial freedom and wealth. Another example is, do you have a saying that you repeat over and over again? If your answer is, nothing works unless you do, it's reflecting values of hard work and commitment. So as you write down the why to your questions, you're going to start to see patterns of words that mean something to you. The third part is to take note of these words and write them down, and then group them into similar values. So this might take you a few days to complete, but the goal of this exercise is for you to narrow the list down to no more than 20 words. So you can see in the example on the screen that words like growth, security, and interdependence go together, while words like balance, development, and spirituality are grouped together. The fourth part of this is to narrow your list down to your top 5 values. And this is really hard, but this process encourages you to truly dig deep and think about what you value the most. And now it's time to bring those values to life. You're going to take each core value and ask, what exactly does this value mean to me? Are there certain things I do specifically because of this value? All right, let's look at some examples. For the value of responsibility, you might recognize that you take care of your daily duties at work, home, and you work and home, and you keep commitments. And you also pay your bills on time, and you complete all work-related tasks by their due deadlines. For wealth, you make sure that you create a legacy for your future and family. You always seek multiple streams of income and maximize your return on investment when possible. You openly talk about finances with your family and financial planner. And the last thing we're going to do today is building upon our goals by creating those healthy, sustainable habits. We all strive for positive change. We set goals and we have intentions to create the best versions of ourselves and lead more engaging, happier, healthier lives. When we first start embarking on a new routine, we constantly make decisions. But once we start doing them over and over and over, that's when they truly become a habit. And then sometimes what happens is we stop our healthy quest before this month is even over. Oh wait, why do we do that? Most of the time, it's because this new action is disrupting our normal routine. And that's because they're not developed habits yet. So we stay on this cycle of try, fail, and repeat. But the real truth is, you have the solution. By shifting your perspective and mindset, you can create sustainable habits. It's just a little bit like mental reprogramming. So I love this quote. What you think determines how you feel, and how you feel determines what you do. Such a great way to shift perspective. What's important is that we let go of the pressure on ourselves, the pressure of getting results quickly or having immediate success. You know, we need to really ditch this perfection mindset. Determine what your roadblocks are and break those long-term goals into smaller sub-goals that are easier to master. So Art Markman, he is the editor of Cognitive Science, and he really encourages us to look at our smaller goals as achievements and our larger goals as contributions. I really love this analogy he makes between our work life and our personal life. He says that we can make contributions to the organization. If we can make contributions to the organization we work for, we can surely make contributions to yourself. That makes so much sense. The shift in perspective is exactly what we need. It feels so good to be a contributor, to make change and improvements. So how about translating that into our own self-care and development? Sustainable habits are built with a lot of self-compassion and self-care in mind. Another shift would be taking the focus away from the outcome and focusing more on the process. So you can't always control the outcome, but you do have control over the habits that lead to your desired outcomes. Here's a good example. Instead of focusing on losing 10 pounds, make the shift to focus on eating more vegetables and drinking more water. Also, focus on stocking your home with lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, as well as unsweetened beverages, so that you can set yourself up for success. And I think what's important to remember is that consistency beats perfection. Keeping focused on your goals each day, rather than worrying about those bumps in the road, are going to lead to those changes that you desire. And most importantly, don't forget to have fun. Working towards goals is so exciting and rewarding, and it should be fun. So do the things that you do. Put your energy and growth into things that you love, and share your successes with those around you. Thank you so much for joining us for week 1, and we look forward to seeing you in week 2.